Kaziranga National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is famous the world over for the success story of conservation of the one-horned rhinoceros. Every year during the monsoons, the river washes away huge swathes of fertile alluvial grassland habitat as it flows along the northern part. Further, the annual monsoonal floods completely inundate Kaziranga, forcing the animals to migrate to the nearby Karbi Hills. Flood and erosion are both natural processes of the dynamic Brahmaputra system as it flows through the Assam plains. Yet, both these processes have evolved into threats for Kaziranga. Firstly, the degree of consolidation and establishment of a formal protection regime in the eroded areas along the northern reaches of Kaziranga was not up to the desired level, making these areas prone to security threats and anthropogenic disturbances. Further, owing to the ever-increasing population threat along the southern boundaries, the corridors connecting Kaziranga floodplains to the Karbi Hills have been subjected to progressive degradation and disruption. These factors have significantly increased the threat of occurrence of inbreeding depression, which in the long run would affect the genetic viability of the wild species of the landscape. To compensate for the diminishing habitat and to ensure safe passage to the Karbi Anglong Hills and nearby fragmented but healthy habitats, a number of additions have been made to Kaziranga. Further, few degraded areas have been brought under the management of Kaziranga, and efforts have been put in place to make it habitable for wildlife. Also, measures have been adopted to establish connectivity of Kaziranga to nearby protected areas like the Orang and Nameri Tiger Reserves and Laukwa Burachapuri Wildlife Sanctuaries through the Brahmaputra River. With these additions, Kaziranga Tiger Reserve is now more than 1,300 square kilometers encompassing the Brahmaputra River, adjacent reserved forests, corridors and hitherto degraded habitats that have been converted to suitable wildlife habitats through proper intervention. This move has also enabled the consolidation of 2,570-hectare riverine corridor along the Jiabhorli River in Sonitpur district in the year 2020, which is now being used by wild animals like tigers to migrate to and from Kaziranga and Nameri Tiger Reserve and further into the Arunachal landscape as the 9th addition to Kaziranga. The Brahmaputra River from Dhansirimukh in the east to Bhomoraguri Bridge in the west was included under Kaziranga as 6th edition in 2008. But in order to connect Kaziranga with Burachapuri, Laukwa and Orang, the stretch of the Brahmaputra from the west of Bhomoraguri Bridge to the Laukwa and Burachapuri wildlife sanctuaries had to be secured. This was accomplished by notifying 195 square kilometers of this stretch as the preliminary notification for first addition to Burachapuri Wildlife Sanctuary was issued during 2016 under the leadership of P. Sivakumar. Due to the consolidation of the 6th addition to Kaziranga and the first addition to Burachapuri, this entire stretch of the Brahmaputra River, which was earlier subjugated to increasing anthropogenic disturbance due to erosion, has now been secured as prime wildlife habitat and corridor. In addition to these, the habitat cum corridor in Chirang and Deosur with 176 hectare as well as Bandardubi comprising of 307 hectare area in Kanchanjuri corridor was notified as the 7th and 8th editions in 2020. In 2021, 452 hectare area in Bishwanath district was notified as the 10th addition to Kaziranga. Further, a total of 970 hectare area comprising of the 3rd and 5th editions and part of the 2nd and 6th editions to Kaziranga, as notified way back in 1985, were formally handed over to the Kaziranga administration in 2020. There has been considerable progress in the process of identification, notification and consolidation of the corridors connecting Kaziranga with nearby protected areas and reserve forests, ensuring safety for the migrating wildlife and preventing the problem of inbreeding of the wildlife. Many of the newly added areas were subjected to years of anthropogenic disturbances, thereby causing their degradation as wildlife habitats. The Kaziranga management undertook a number of initiatives for habitat improvement in places such as Potahi, Bandardubi, Deusur, Chirakhua, Kothalchang, and Haldibari, among others. It is heartening to see wild animals such as rhinos, elephant, swamp deer, and many species of domestic as well as winter migratory wetland birds which have started to use these areas as preferred habitats. This was in fact appreciated by the Honorable Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat program of February 2021.
काजीरंगा नेशनल पार्क में बर्ड्स की कुल 112 स्पीशीज को देखा गया है। यहाँ बेहतर वाटर कंजर्वेशन होने के साथ ह्यूमन इंटरफियरेंस बहुत कम है।
Security infrastructure in the form of beat offices and anti-poaching camps too have been developed in the newly added areas to ensure better protection of the wildlife. In addition, the management has emphasized on the use of modern scientific tools and technologies, along with the sustained community engagement programs to achieve the desired goal. The management also introduced ecotourism activities in a number of places of these new editions. This is already resulting in diverting the ever-increasing tourism pressure from the core areas of Kaziranga. The management is also emphasizing on introducing alternative tourism activities such as the recently inaugurated Elephant Feeding Center at Mihimuk. With the adoption of a landscape approach towards conservation, the idea of Kaziranga now goes beyond defined boundaries. The addition of new areas and consolidation of existing regions initiatives through additions and corridors, Kaziranga has been successful in securing the Central Assam Conservancy landscape for ensuring sustainability and viability of Assam's pride, the one-horned rhinos, and other charismatic wildlife species of the landscape.